What we're talking about today is one of the hardest calling techniques to master, but if you get this down, it can mean the difference between shooting a duck in the face at 20 yards versus shooting him in the butt at 40. And what I'm talking about is the finisher call.
Get green, get green.
I'm going to tell you how to do it and show you some real life examples that I've gotten on video over the years to really drive it home for you. My name's Jake. You're watching Chasing Green, where I'm about all things duck hunting. If you enjoy the content you see on this channel, consider checking out my podcast. It's called the Chasing Green Podcast. You can find it on any podcasting hosting platforms, Spotify, Apple. Back to the topic at hand, and I want to start off by talking about what this technique actually is. The finishing call is when you have birds committed, they're locked in, they're coming, but they're going to land just off of you, maybe at 35 yards or at 40 instead of in the pocket at 20 where you want them to be. And the finisher is just simply hitting them at the last second with a little low note, quieter call to try to make them track you and put in where you want them to be. In Arkansas, we sometimes call this barking them in, barking them all the way to the water, because that's what it kind of sounds like, little barks. It's just little short bursty notes that are quiet and just designed to give them something to key on. Now, the first key to getting this down is being really realistic on the call. I've always said a good metric to know if you sound good on a duck call, are you able to blow it when ducks are near you? You know, when I was a kid, if ducks would come in and land and we're still trying to work other ducks, if I blew my duck call at the other ducks, almost always those ducks on the water would get up and leave. I would flare them out. They would know I wasn't a real duck. But the older I got, the more I duck hunted, the more I practiced. Now ducks can land and I can get down on my call. I can pretty much blow it how I always do. And most of the time, the ducks on the water don't leave. It's nice when your buddies think you sound good or whatever, but the true measure is, what does a duck think? It's key to be able to sound realistic on your end, but it's also key to have a call that sounds realistic. A call that has a really good low end, as we call it. The bottom end of the call, the low end of the call. Calls have ranges. You have the high end, like a hell call, as hard as the call can be blowed, and then you have the low end. And like the call I use, Echo, they have really good low ends. But there's lots of calls that have good low ends. Most good high dollar calls are going to have the whole range. The next thing you need to know is when to use it. The way I most often end up using this call is when we've worked multiple groups that morning, say 3 or 4 groups have come, you know, they've committed, but they've landed off. They've went to the top end of the spread. And I've done watched three groups do it. Well, I know more than likely the following next 3 groups are going to do it. So I'm about to try something. I'm not just going to let them go up there and land at 40, 45, and we only get one shot on them. This is when I'm going to hit them at that last second, and you've got to be able to read the ducks. When you got ducks doing this, you've got a very short window of when you can hit them to where it's going to create the desired effect or not. If you wait too late, they're going to go on and go where they wanted. If you do it at the wrong time, it may kind of mess them up off their runway, so to speak, and they may make another pass. But if you do it at the right time, they will turn and key right in on you, and you'll shoot them right in the pocket at 15 or 20 yards, and you'll be like, okay, I get what's going on now. Another thing you need to keep in mind, though, and I need you to lock in on this one, hear me on this. There are some days when ducks absolutely do not want you to do this. You're going to hit them with the finisher, and they're going to act like you just shot at them. They're literally just going to flare off harder than you've ever seen. I've seen some hunts also where, like, some ducks it works on throughout the hunt, and some ducks it don't. So like, you kind of got to try multiple. When using this call, you really have to pay attention to how the ducks are reacting to it. Is it making things better or worse, or nothing at all? If nothing at all, I would get more on it. I give a little more oomph in it. But it's one thing to talk about this stuff, and it's a whole nother to actually see it. And one of my favorite ways to learn is to actually see examples of it. So now I want to walk you through some videos I've gotten over the years of us using it. These are some really good examples, and I think it'll really drive the point home of how to use this. Now, this first example I'm going to show you, we're set up with like a horizontal spread. Our decoys are horizontal to the bank, and the wind is also horizontal to us. And for this hunt, it's like I was saying earlier, the birds have been, especially the last few groups, have been wanting to go to the upwind side of the spread, as you can see in this clip here. See, the birds are just going right past our decoys. They're landing like 40 yards upwind where we don't want them to be. Sure, we can clip 1 or 2 out of that, but we want them to put right on the spinners right in front of us. And so after watching a few groups do that, you know, I knew we needed to try something different.
Call. Shooting.
Comes up.
Not the best shooting in the world. I was running the camera on that one. You can see this bird. He's locked up, he's coming, but I can just tell by the trajectory that he's on that he's looking not on the spinners. See, here are the spinners. You can look at this bird. He's looking upwind like all the rest of them have been. So this is the now or never point. And you can hear that when I say call. When I say call, this is when it's going to affect him and put him where we want him to be.
Call.
And as soon as he hears Aiden's call, which this is a good example of you don't have to be the best. This was early in Aiden's calling career, so he doesn't sound just crisp here. Love you, Aiden, if you're watching. But this was early on, and this just shows you don't have to sound like a world champion. It was good enough. And as soon as this duck heard it, he changes his path. You can watch his wings just break. And this is the response you want to see. This is the response we all dream about as duck hunters. But if Aiden had not made that call, we were not going to shoot this duck. And see, Aiden stayed on it a little bit. If you notice, that last few notes is what really makes him turn. See, he turns once, but at the end of the call, he turns again. Boom, right there. And he floats in an extra 5 or 10 yards. All that stuff makes a difference. Now, we were in layouts. It took a minute to get up. Now, like I was telling you earlier, some ducks just don't want this. And this clip I'm about to show you here is the same hunt, a little bit after that duck I just showed you.
Call.
Poof. They did not like that, buddy. And I even did the same thing. I told Aiden to call, and those ducks were at the same point as that last duck we shot. Like, they were at the same do or die point, same location. They got hit with the same call, but those 2 ducks didn't like it. Maybe they had been shot at that morning, who knows. But that just goes to show you really have to experiment. We kept doing it after this because it was working on most of the ducks, and that's what we cared about. Hey, if you like what you're seeing in this video, consider subscribing. It really helps me out. Now let's go on to another clip. This is a very similar situation to what you just seen. We were hunting like a shoreline, horizontal setup.
Get him.
This is a textbook example of the finisher call, in my opinion. At the beginning, these ducks are locked. And if you notice, we're being quiet. We're not calling. We make 0 peep until the ducks change their direction. Now, if you pay attention, the ducks' wings are locked. They are coming. Yes, this is what we want. But then they start veering off. They start to change direction. And it's at that point that Aiden hits them and then I hit them. See, watch. They're locked. They're coming. Locked. And that right there. See that? They're looking right at us here. And now, boom. They're going away from us. They're paralleling us now. And you can see when Aiden hits that first call, the drake and the hen veer back towards us. Watch. Away. Now 2. Watch this green head. Watch him. Boom. He's coming, son. Look at him. And there we dumped him right inside the spread where we wanted him to be. It's very subtle sometimes, you know, if you're not really paying attention to the ducks. That's why, as a caller, you always have to be looking at the ducks. If you had waited much longer to hit these ducks with the finisher, they would have not had enough room to swing back. They would have been too far. They would have had to completely circle back. And if that happens, you're not going to get them. So you have to hit them early enough. It has to be that perfect time. This also, like the last situation, we had seen some ducks kind of go up and off of us. If you look on the screen, they really wanted to land like right out here, which is exactly where these 2 were headed. So that's why we kind of knew. We had seen a couple groups. It's hard to know what they're going to do if you haven't had a couple groups work. You kind of have to play the field. You got to see how the cards are being dealt that morning. Also notice this is a few years later. I didn't have to say anything to Aiden. Like, he just knew to do it because he had done picked up this technique by now. He actually hit it first before I did. Now, the next one we're going to look at is a timber example. This was the best duck hunt of my life. And this was a morning where they really wanted the call. Oh, that was juicy. No matter how many times I watch this hunt, I get fired up the same every time. Now, this one's a lot more subtle, and this is also an example where I was talking about if you give them a little bit and they're not really responding, you got to get on them a little harder. And that's what I did in this one. And you can see the ducks start to commit. They're coming into the hole, but if you really pay attention, some start bailing out. Look at these at the front. See that lead one bails out. Watch the ones after them. They're coming, but then the second one bails out. Now the third, the fourth, the fifth, they're bailing out. It was probably because of our hide. We were just kind of glowing. There was no cover at the bottom, so that's probably what it was. Now you can see the first wave is getting out. Look at all these birds leaving. They're getting out of there. But the second wave is coming behind them, and I don't want them to get out, so I give them a little more. Now, this is just a little subtle difference. Watch this second wave when I hit them with that harder call. See them suck down? They like go from kind of gliding down to like sucking down, which is what I wanted. I did not want them to follow that first wave of ducks that was getting out, because ducks play follow the leader. If they see those first ones getting out, they're gone. Here, check it out from my angle. I actually had a camera on me as well. Get it green. Now, I'll give you one more example. This is in Arkansas and stuff I grew up hunting. It's one of my favorite chasing green clips of all time right here, because this is duck hunting to me. Same thing as before. Ducks have been kind of landing off of us all morning, and I could also tell they were really keying on the call this day. Like some days you can just tell every time you call, they're kind of responding to it. So I knew when these ducks were getting ready to do it, that if I kept on them, I was probably going to be able to get them closer to me than not, because they were kind of just getting down in the stick stuff and spreading out everywhere, making for some really crappy shots. Check it. If you watch these ducks closely and really pay attention, they get behind this cypress tree. See, they're behind the cypress tree, and I hit them right here, and it's hard to see on camera, but when I hit them, they break and come right to me. Look, all the way down, baby. So that's the finisher call. It's worked really well for us, and we've got a lot of ducks doing it. It definitely takes some practice. I just suggest practicing it, getting good at sounding realistic at a low tone, and the next time the ducks are landing, but they're landing too far, give it a shot. I do this with gadwall, teal, widgeon, pintail sometimes too. It's not just mallards this works on, but it's typically it works best on mallards. If you want to see some more calling tips, click this video right here. If you want to see that best hunt of my life that I was just talking about, click this video at the bottom. It was a banger. Thanks for watching, and Lord willing, I'll catch you next time right here on Chasing Green.